Another week here on the South Side Steelers practice facility. Alan Robinson, Mark Aboli, your Steelers reporters. I am Justin LeBar. And another week we are talking about the offensive woes and maybe just the entire team as a whole. The Pittsburgh Steelers starting 0-2 this Sunday night. They will be hosting Chicago. And Alan Robinson, there's a lot of things I think that people might want to pinpoint or point fingers of what's going on with the Steelers. I put you to the task. Can you define what is going on with this team in one sentence?
Too many injuries, too much disconnect on the offense, too much overestimating the talent on this team by the front office. No, it's not. It's a comma.
So too many injuries, too much overestimation. I'll let you expand now. Go ahead.
No, I just think that they probably thought they had a better team than they thought they were going to have coming into the season. You know how the Steelers, they don't rebuild, they reload. That's the old expression. But trouble is they really need to rebuild. They've really needed to rebuild now for the last couple of years because they've been an older team for a few years. They acknowledged that by drafting the players they drafted in the draft. But the trouble is what we're seeing this year is, especially with the salary cap issues, they were so up against the cap. Remember back last spring, back in March and April, they had no wiggle room at all. They overestimated the talent on this team. And now you're having to go off the scrap heap to get replacement players. I mean, they're picking up players from Oakland and Jacksonville and places like that. It's just not the Steelers' way.
All those booming franchises.
No, but I'm saying it's just not the Steelers' way. And we thought for months they would have. Mark and I have talked about this for a long time. We've written about this. We thought they would have depth issues on this team, and those depth issues are being you can see them right now. I mean, they're signing guys off the street. They literally signed a center off the street last week to play against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's just not the way the Steelers do things. They're having to basically assemble this team on the fly now with these injuries and things like that. You just don't see the Steelers do that. They always had somebody to plug in. I mean, look at all the drafts that they had where they were basically just drafting complementary players, guys to be backups and guys to be starters down the road. Now they're not.
Well, we're going in for the third game of the season, Mark, against Chicago, and this is a Steelers team that has had just such a poor rushing performance. There are some quarterbacks alone in this league that have more rushing yards than this team does combined for the season.
As Alan pointed out in his story the other day, Adrian Peterson had more rushing yards on his first carry of the season than the Steelers have in 2 games. So, yeah, we talked about this all through spring, all through summer, about how they were going to introduce a new outside zone blocking scheme and how that was going to help the running game along. Well, we're 2 games into the season, and they ran it once. And that resulted in a Marquise Pouncey torn ACL. So I've talked to some guys. We'll have a story on the Trib coming up soon about this. And the thing is they're not really comfortable with the scheme right now. And you can't blame them with the new center and stuff like that. So they have totally went away from it. We might be seeing it coming up pretty soon. But you would think that would have been a big issue to help the Steelers' running game. It hasn't helped, but they haven't used it. Curious to see if they eventually go back to it. I think they will, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Mark, like David DeCastro pointed out, they can't practice this in practice because it involves cut blocking. You can't cut block your teammates in practice. You might actually hurt might hurt a teammate. Oh, wow.
All right, Mark. I think you were the optimist last week, and I think when I did predictions, you predicted a win. So let's go again. Week 3, Chicago, primetime.
I've watched these game tapes over and over and over again, and I still honestly believe they're not that far off. You might call me crazy. You might tell me I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't think they're that far off to be a winning performing team. What we saw is they can't afford to make any mistakes. In the past, they can make a mistake and overcome it. They can't make any mistakes. So if when you fumble inside the 20, two games in a row in the first quarter, that's a mistake. I think they'll finally get on the winning track here. It's going to be close again. They have to score 20 points, so I'm giving 21-17 Steelers.
They're due to win a game because they've lost 7 of the last 9, dating back to last regular season. That's really, that's really getting away from what the Steelers do. But sometimes you see on a team like this, it's hard to get when you start losing. They haven't won a game this year. They've lost they lost the 4 exhibition games in the 2 games. Sometimes that becomes a mental thing, and you get into a tight game and you're not able to win because you forget how to win. I think they'll lose again this week. I think they'll lose 23-17, but then they'll win in London against Minnesota. And this statistical nugget: the last time they started 0-3, they had a winning season. In 2000, they went 9-7. They didn't make the playoffs, but they did have a winning season.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, a lot to watch for, as they do have a couple interesting weeks coming up, of course, with Chicago on primetime, and then as Alan just mentioned, they will travel to London to handle Adrian Peterson and the Vikings. That's going to do it. Follow these guys on Twitter, triblive.com, as always, for your articles, your videos, your photos, your radio, Marco Boli's radio show, every Monday at 2 o'clock. So you can call and go one-on-one and ask him all that you want to ask him. It's triblive.com.